What's up, guys? So today I'm sitting in our 1957 Chevy Bel Air LS3 swap project that we're doing for a customer over here at the shop. Before we get any further, I wanted to discuss what we've already done for those of you that might just be joining us in this build series. So basically, installment 1, we removed the old powertrain, put it on a pallet, and got it back to the customer. Installment 2, we made the LS3 to the 4L80 and sat it down inside the chassis using mounts and a crossmember from Speedway. Shout out Speedway. I'm in no way sponsored by those guys, but when you do this professionally for a living, you can appreciate fast shipping and great customer service. Then we get into today's installment. So we're going to figure out what's going to work and what's not going to work for us in the way of headers. And we're also going to figure out how to make the 3-speed shifter that we have on the column that's already in the car to the more modern 4-speed electronically controlled automatic 4L80 that we have in the vehicle now. With that being said, I've also noticed that my subscriber count has gone up, which I think is awesome. But I'll never ask you guys to subscribe or like any of my videos. But for those of you that find some value in the things that I share and try to teach you, thank you. These videos are for you. Now let's get into this video, you guys.
So these are those muscle rods I told you about that are made by Hedman. Great quality. They're manufactured really well and come with all the hardware we need. But will they work for what we're actually trying to do here? Well, let's find out. So looking at this space between the block and the frame rail, it seems like there's plenty of real estate to actually work in. But again, let's get them seated and see what we actually have. Now, just having these set in here and mocked up kind of, it looks like they're going to kind of be close to that horn that comes out where the old cross member for the transmission used to sit, or maybe it was the rear engine mount where those used to sit. So what we're going to do is get them bolted up and see what our clearance is actually like. But it's also looking like that transmission ear is going to have to come off. Don't worry, that won't affect the strength of the bell housing by removing those. Lots of folks do it to fit headers, but I'm just hoping it's something we won't have to do, but let's see. So on the driver's side, we have this shifter linkage. This is going to stop us from getting kind of any header that we want to go swept back in there, as well as this transmission ear. This one's probably going to have to get cut off to try to fit them in there. But I'm definitely going to have to remove this linkage because it's just not going to work with what we're trying to do here. So I have the driver's side in place. I did find out that they used a passenger side flange, so the two center bolts aren't in the correct orientation they should be, so this isn't going to work either way. But as you see, I actually kind of scratched the header ceramic trying to get this to work, and it's not going to end up working for us, guys. So we're going to have to kind of go back and see what's going to happen with that other set of headers that the customer bought for us. So on the left is our contingency, which is the speed engineering headers that are designed for the LS10. As you can see, that last runner is swept to the left, and these long tubes or mid-lengths are actually swept to the right. I have a lot of confidence that this is going to end up working for us, guys. And these speed engineerings are actually manufactured quite well. The welds are nice, the flanges are straight and true. And it has this sweet V-band at the bottom that allows you to put the extension for the O2 to also weld it up to the rest of the exhaust. So these are really nice, and it's a shame they're not going to work, but we have to keep on moving forward with the project, you guys. Now, we have the passenger side in. Now, first thing you'll probably notice is the last runner swoops out and down, which gives us plenty of clearance from the firewall, which I'm really excited about. Not to mention they look great. And if we go over here, you'll see that we actually do have the passenger side seated in there. And if we give it just a closer peep, you'll see that we have clearance, you guys, which I'm super excited about. So, yeah, we have all the clearance in the world that we need, both up and going down. So I guess the next thing to do would be to get this bushing that we have right here out of there. And I think I'm going to do that by using a screwdriver. But yeah, this definitely has to come out. So this is the engine bay. This is the old linkage. It's a two-piece linkage style. I had to cut the rod that it was mounted on out of there. And the reason we're going to do this is too wide to actually fit. And I'm not sure how to really make it work with the 4L80. But we're going to use this low-car rod kit, ACA-1811. It's a 26-inch rod, which you can cut down. But I wanted to use something longer just to make sure I had enough. But they also sell this in a 21-inch version and a 22-inch version. So here's the tube opened up, and what we have in the kit consists of, we have our 26-inch rod, you get all your directions, you have your hardware, which is like a heim joint, and then you have your hardware with two rubber insulators. I think these plastic actually, plastic insulators. We have the part that attaches to the transmission itself, which is fully adjustable, two nuts to make sure it's the right nut size, and another heim joint and the hardware to attach it down there. So we're going to end up prying this thing out, like I said, using a flathead screwdriver. I'm going to take my time because I don't really want to slip and hurt my hand, but just push on it, wiggle it, and the rubber will fall out. And you'll see here that I got it out pretty easily. The rubber ended up breaking. It's kind of old, you know, but it came out just fine. So here is that heim joint that goes in, and like it has those two insulators, and you're going to basically put it right there through that bracket, and the order is going to be bolt, washer, heim joint, insulator. You're going to pass it through, put the other insulator, a washer, and then carefully tighten on your nut. But don't tighten it all the way up yet. As you see, we have it in place. Yeah, I see that it's hanging there, but that's just gravity. Once the rod's actually directing it in the direction towards the transmission, I think we're going to have more than enough space here to get things to work how we want them to. Yeah, this is going to be great. So here are the pieces that attach to the actual transmission shift bar, if you would. And what we're going to do is basically get these installed. This comes with what you need. So this center circle actually slides over the rod that comes out the transmission selector. And you can kind of clock it however you want because it's splined. And it also has a grub nut to tighten it. So you want to make sure that you get down here and that your threads are clean. And what you're first and foremost going to do is find the nut you need. The one we're going to use is 4L80/Turbo 400. And this is the one we need. It goes on all the way. Make sure that they seat down all the way. And you don't want to cross through anything, guys. So just take your time, make sure you find the right one. And then once you get that done, you could remove it and get the rest of your hardware. So the slotted side faces the transmission. Again, you have the grub nut to tighten it. The bolt is going to slide in, and it's slotted, so it holds the bolt captive, but you can also adjust it. And while it holds it captive, you can tighten it down without having to worry about putting a wrench on the back. So it's going to go bolt, linkage, washer, heim joint, then your other washer, and then carefully take your time and attach your nut. I dropped this one a couple times, so just take your time. And we don't want to tighten any of this up again, you guys. Remember, keep it all loose until final adjustment. So here are two grub nuts. We want to tighten those down once we actually get it cut to length. Remove the rod, and then it's going to leave two marks. Those two marks on the rod, once it's cut that are left, you're going to want to drill those a little bit to create a countersink so the grub nuts have a little bit of a better bite into the rod. But we'll get to that at another point. Let's go ahead and see what else we have to do here. Now, I was in a hurry, so I routed this rod incorrectly from the bottom. Let me go down and fix it right quick. Okay, so we have everything kind of in place loosely where we want it. The arm is pretty much level with the bottom of the transmission on the top of the pan. And we're going to go ahead, try to position this up top so we can get an initial measurement to make our first cut. So we're back up here, and I want to mention that this is also adjustable up here. And your grub nuts could face forward or back, whatever's more aesthetically pleasing to you. And yeah, but you do have a level of adjustment up here as well as at the bottom, which is threaded. So don't think that once it's cut, if it's just a hair too short, that you're in trouble. You'll be just fine. So I have the rod kind of placed up against the heim joint. And if you see that nut that sits on top of the sleeve, you kind of want to cut it about 1/8 of an inch underneath where that will be, or at least mark it. So you'll come up with something that looks like this. And this looks like it's going to work for me. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and get it threaded back down into the connection to the transmission and see what my length is actually looking like and how that's going to work for us. So this is what we have. It's sitting fairly close. I might have to index the rod a little bit, but I don't have any of the hardware like the bolt and the washers and insulators in there. So I'm going to get that installed and see what we have. But so far it's looking pretty great. But again, you could always put a slight bend to it to get some more clearance. Now you'll see here, we have everything installed with a slight index. I mean, just the very slightest of a bend, I was able to get everything in there. Now we will be able to go all the way into second low on the shifter that's on the column, because this was a 3-speed car and we're putting a 4-speed transmission in. So second low is as far down as we can go, but it actuates just fine from second low all the way up into park position, which I'm happy about. And I have all the clearance in the world over here for this linkage. If you really needed to, you could put some kind of heat protective wrap on there, or maybe swap out to metal washers, but I think this is going to work just fine for what we're doing. And if any problems pop up, we'll take care of them as they come. So this is what we'll be doing in the next installment, putting in the CSI harness. It was packed way better than this when I got it, but I took everything out to make sure it was all in the box. I'm really excited about this, so this will be the next installment. I'll see you guys in the next one.